It's your chance to get all your meat-related questions answered. Spencer Wirt, the Meat Dude. This week, as always, brought to you by Auger Meats. You can find them right on Main Drag in Audubon, Minnesota. I need to get connected to my phone system here, and then we will try to get him on. Eric, actually, I'll have you push the button over there. I don't know what's going on with this computer. Spencer, do I have you?
I'm here.
Technology and I sometimes don't get along. I was just joking and, well, quite frankly, bragging that I've had a couple of days off, and apparently I forgot how to run things around here. Hope you've been treating well since I spoke with you last week.
Yes. When did we talk last week? Wednesday?
It was Wednesday.
Was good.
Good.
Cooked some good food.
You cook or the wife cook? You say you only do the meats. Did you cook the meats?
Well, what did I cook? We kind of did. We traveled all the way to Minnesota with my wife's family, so we did her big. I didn't cook anything for Thanksgiving, but on Saturday we did kind of a big family meal. Did some prime rib that I got I got told that I had to cook it. So it was good. Everything turned out good.
Very good. I'm glad things went well and the family got a chance to get together. Prime ribs like one of those go-tos. Now, you got turkey, but during Christmas and all that, give me the prime rib, which of course it means I'm spoiled because I don't have to do the cooking. I'm not told to do it like you do, but you're a smart man because you didn't ask any questions, did you? You just went out and did it. I
didn't. Yep.
Smart man. 35270. I had questions waiting for you like an hour ago. I'm going to get to those. You joined that conversation. 35270. Tyler, question for the Meat Dude. Hamburger comes in 80-20, 85-50, 90-10 blend. What is your preferred blend for a great burger? There's a follow-up question, but I want you to answer that one first about the burger.
80-20 probably if I'm cooking true cheeseburger, 80-20.
Okay, this is a great follow-up question in the second part here. What should different blends be used for? So you already answered what you would do for just a cheeseburger. You do 80-20, but let's say you're doing a hot dish, a casserole, whatever it might be. Do you vary what you purchase, or do you usually stick with 80-20?
Well, I mean, what I usually purchase or what we try to produce or whatever you want to call it is 85-15 because I think it's the perfect middle ground. It's not so fatty that you can fry it up for spaghetti or lasagna or whatever it is that you're making, and it's got enough fat that you can still utilize it for patties. So, I mean, I don't very often go out and search for ground beef for a specific meal per se, right? So that's where my world of purchasing ground beef is a little different because I buy in bulk and whatever fat content it is, and I just deal with it. But if you have that ability, if you're going to the grocery store searching for a certain fat content, then yeah, you probably want to go a little leaner for your spaghettis and hot dishes and things that you're adding a lot of other things to that ground beef, and then more fat for if ground beef is the main part of it, like a hamburger. And we've had this conversation over the years, like when I fry up ground beef in a pan, I leave all that delicious grease in my spaghetti and in my whatever else. Spaghetti always comes to mind, right? That's the first thing that pops in my mind. But I always leave all that grease in there because that grease is good for you, and it's fat, and fat is flavor, and but I know a lot of people that probably think I'm crazy for doing that and would rather just drain it out.
Yeah, hold up a second. I know you always correct me and say, Tyler, I'm not a nutritionist, man, but then you just said a moment ago, all that grease is good for you. You got any scientific background on that?
Google it.
Okay, fair point.
No, we it's just like butter too, right? You look back 30 years and butter is going to kill you, and then margarine came out, and then 10 years ago margarine's going to kill you, and now butter's good for you again. And you got to take everything with a grain of salt. I don't think even somebody who's been studying nutrition for a long time. I mean, it's all relative. Everything's relative. But I eat a lot of fat, and I think I'm still healthy. I guess I haven't been to the doctor for a while, but yeah.
Yeah, you're still a skinny dude. I'm shocked at how direct you answer that question. Just go ahead and Google it. Okay. Say no more. I will when I've got time. But you know what? I got time to get to more of these questions for you. 35270. Tyler, a question for the Meat Dude. if now is a good time to bring deer trimmings to get made into meat sticks, or should I wait a few months?
It depends on the shop, I guess. A lot of local North Dakota meat processing plants, the small guys like us, shut down their normal production for deer season, and those shops that take in whole carcasses are usually swamped the whole month of November. Now, if you're one of them hunters that like I'm assuming he's talking about, you cut your own deer up, you trimmed everything else, you have it separated into what you want made into sausage and everything else that you're just going to keep and cook, I would probably, give them a month or two, whatever shop you use, just, because if you already got it froze, it'll last in the freezer for a while, and then just try to sneak it in. But of course, every business is different, how they set up and do venison. So I guess I would just tell you to call whatever small meat processor that you're trying to get into and see what best fits their scenario.
Of all my years of hunting, I think that's the most stressful part of the entire process. Aside from, okay, you applied, you wait on that lottery, which that's the stress point number one, is did I get drawn or not? Number two, and it's not as much because you're out there and enjoying it, is actually getting your deer. But the third one, when you get that sheet, you go to your butcher, and they give you the sheet. They already weighed out. Here's how much you have that brought in. What do you want done with it? And then you have to mark off, I want X amount of pounds in this type of meat stick. I want this amount of pounds in sausage made. It's stressful, man. How much prep do you do beforehand when it comes to, okay, this is what I'm doing this year? Because you do all sausage, don't you?
Yeah, and we don't barely take any deer in. I don't advertise for it. I don't because we don't shut production down, and we're an inspected facility, so bringing in venison is kind of, it just throws a wrench in our whole system, and we don't slow down production. Now, I do bring in some, and yeah, that conversation is usually difficult, especially if you're a new customer to a plant that you don't know everything that they make. And as a customer, you don't necessarily know what you want, and yeah, it is. I mean, there's no perfect system. There's no perfect way to do it. Venison is an interesting scenario.
Well,
I'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, because like you say, if you're first time at a new shop, you don't know necessarily what their portions are, when it comes to the pork and venison. So I had that experience once that I thought, okay, well, this is, everybody does this split of pork and venison, and boy, was I wrong. I was surprised when I got my packages back.
Well, and that's another thing is, I like to leave, and maybe I leave too much options up to the customer where it gets even more confusing to them. But, some shops probably just say this is what we're putting in with your venison to make it good because we know this final product will be good. Where, I have some guys that want 50-50 venison to pork, or they want 30% venison, 40% beef, and 30% pork. And, it gets kind of dicey sometimes. But the product turns out good no matter what. So
yeah, and I didn't name the spot where I went. I think it was like 80-20. And you know how lean it is in the first place. So I was thinking, oh, okay, here we go. This is going to be just too dry. And actually, as you're pointing out, that shop had it figured out with their proportions. It was still pretty dang good, even though it wasn't what I was expecting when I went in. 35270. I could answer this one for you, but this is somebody that wants to hear it from you. One word answer: egg or Traeger?
Oh, egg?
What?
Come on.
Hey, easy with the tone there, fella. Please. Don't have to be so condescending about it.
Do they listen to the show?
Hey, we get new listeners every day, man. Take it easy. They're here to listen to your meat advice, not your condescending tone about questions they have for you. Here's a question I have for you, and try to be a little bit more polite this time. We've talked about how long beef keeps in the fridge before it's cooked. However, let's say I made that. I had that 80-20 mix. I grilled up some burgers, and I had some left over because there was a pound, and look, there's only two of us. How long does that patty that's already been cooked stay in my fridge so I can have leftovers?
No more than 5 days.
Well, 5 days is good. I can manage that. I was expecting shorter, actually, the way you were starting to answer that. But okay.
Well, like we always talk, as soon as just the ground meat world shelf life basis is a different beast compared to whole muscle, and even after it's cooked, it's the same scenario. So, yeah.
All right. Final question. I take that back. I've got 2 questions that I haven't got to in the text club thus far. A Tyler question for the Meat Dude. What cut of meat do beef medallions come from?
The term medallion is just a descriptor of how that chunk of meat was cut. So medallion isn't necessarily means it's a certain retail cut. It just means that it was cut in the shape of a medallion. So most of the time you're going to see tenderloin cut as medallions. There's a petite tender, this muscle that comes out of the clod that a lot of time in restaurants you'll see them presented as medallions. But anything, small in circumference, tender, relatively lean will be presented as beef medallion steaks.
Okay. Final one. This isn't necessarily about meat, but they're wondering what your go-to condiment is.
On what?
They don't say. What's the Meat Dude's go-to condiments? Enlighten us.
Let me think here. You ever buy that yum yum sauce?
Yes.
That stuff's really good.
I have.
That's good on anything.
I have not done it on beef.
If I cook like sirloin steaks, right, or whatever kind of steak, and then I eat 1.5, and my wife only eats 1/4, and then there's 1/4 left in the fridge. I usually pull that out, put some yum yum sauce on it, and eat that as a leftover.
Dude,
it's the only time I'll ever put sauce on a steak is when it's reheated. But I don't know why that sauce popped into my head, but I use that a lot.
I'm here for it. Yeah, have some in the fridge. I think you just opened my eyes to a whole new world of possibilities I didn't even know was possible. So there. Okay, I'm glad that person asked the question. Now I've got some investigation of my own to do over the weekend. Spencer, I always appreciate it, man. I'm out of time. We'll do this again next week, all right?
Sounds great.
All right, take care. Spencer Wirt, the Meat Dude, every week, this conversation brought to you by All Sauger Meats. You can find them right on Main Drag in Audubon, Minnesota. Tomorrow's already Friday. That means they've got 10% off all the goods. You'll hear from them in a moment, and we'll come back to Afternoons Live right after this.